As we look at the reactions brought to us by Crunchyroll, I think overall you see just how intense the teams are. Not only because like the level of gameplay that we're seeing, but I think it goes
that in too. But yeah, I think eventually Team Vitality, they might be
welcome guys, welcome.
Yeah, I mean, we are gonna get to the midpoint of Esports World Cup soon enough, and then I think the playing field shifts a lot. Good thing Team Vitality has a lot of clubs under their board, and of course they're also eyeing out the results for the end of the tournament once they get to a different Bang Bang game that we're talking about that we're expected to see them triumph in. Now, as we head into the knockouts, we want to remind you that you can catch the knockouts live here at the Boulevard in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It starts on July 30th. You can find your tickets at webook.com. Get it over there. Join us for the knockouts, because once we're done here with the group stages, we're moving to a much bigger stage. We can accommodate more of y'all out there.
Last day group stage ka. Dekhte guys kya hoga.
For tickets, webook.com. Look for it. MSC 2025 at the Esports World Cup. And to remind you yet again of what these teams are fighting for, the money involved, and why it is so crucial that you just make it past the group stages. Even getting a 2-1 record is already good enough. And of course, you want to start securing those top 8 finish prize pool money. Well, we'll bring up the figures yet again. We've talked about it multiple times. Life-changing money. I forgot who dropped that stat fact about how much it changed SRG's trajectory in life. Yeah, after they won last year.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Most people are going to be thinking of old legacy organizations, thinking that like, hey, they've been winning multiple times. You would start thinking about like the EVOSs, the RRQs. They've been there for pretty much everything. SRG wins one time during EWC. Now their total earnings, even on Liquipedia, you can probably check already within the top 5.
Yeah. Let's revisit again the tournament format as we are heading into the knockouts. We're almost done with groups.
Yeah.
We're heading to the single elimination BO5, 18.
Even today, I honestly don't know for sure. Like I've never been able to side completely with one team and say, this team's 100% going to win. I just feel like that's the nature of where we are in the meta right now. The teams are hyped up though for today because of, again, what's on the line here as they want to move and be one of those 8 teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, now we're gonna bring up those figures that we've been talking about, looming over our players right now. Last year, SRG won that milli after they defeated then Falcons AP Bren in the best of
guys,
$10
lakh hai bhai.
The distance. See, just
First place.
to 5th to 8th, you're already securing
Oh bhai sahab.
Well, for the MPL region teams, it's around what they would earn, but for teams
बहुत पैसा होता है भाई, $10 lakh.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, major league difference. 34,000 if
पता
we're
नहीं
looking
इंडिया
directly
कब
at the numbers, but there is
इस गेम में compete करेगा बाहर जाके. I hope बहुत जल्दी आएगा वो दिन. देखते हैं बाकी. हम खुद इस सीन में इस गेम में हूँ 2017 or 18 something.
Yeah, and
I don't remember actually, but it will be 17 or sorry, it would be 17 and 18
once again meet CN
near about.
In an elimination matchup. We're going to discuss the story a little bit more, but the rest of the matches for the day are pretty hot as well.
I think all of them across the board is something.
OG जीत जाएगा पहला मैच. मेरा तो यही प्रेडिक्शन है कि OG वन साइडेड जीतेगा. बाकी देखते हैं. नेक्स्ट वाला ऑनिक, थर्ड वाला वो ये ऑनिक फिलीपींस, और फोर्थ वाला तो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है. देखते हैं. फोर्थ मैच बहुत मतलब मजेदार होगा. बाकी ये पहले का 3 मैच तो वन साइडेड लग रहा है मेरे को.
Our match of the day, though, is unexpected, yet, but at the same time, could prove to be the beginning of a very interesting story between two organizations that don't have a lot of links together, but the beginning
matchup of the day diya bhai.
Between Kyrie and Andorian.
Onyx Indonesia versus Virtus Pro.
is coming into that matchup being the favorites, but Virtus Pro, if they are able to take down Onyx ID, yes, that would mean that Onyx can bring a lot of eyes to that part of the world.
Yeah. Again, by the end of this day, we're going to know who the top 8 are. And we are also going to have our little draw to see which teams from the 2-0 bracket selected the 2-1 teams. And how that is determined is through total game win time. The fastest total game win time gets selection priority. So here's the leaderboard. Just to remind you again of which teams right now are at the good time. If I'm not mistaken, yes, Team Liquid is on top. A significant gap between
TL सबसे ऊपर है, उसके बाद RRQs, P8, Mythic, Tail, Homie Boys.
Yeah, we are sealed for priority.
Yes, we are sealed for priority. Team Liquid will get the pick first, then RRQ, then Team Spirit, and then Mythic Seals. Unfortunately, don't really get much of a choice, right? The question is, who is the 2-1s that are going to be joining in that pool? We're looking on the opposite side between Team Flash, Aurora Gaming, Onyx ID, Slang Red Giants, Homeboys, Virtus Pro, CFU, and as well as Onyx DH. And based off of what we might as well give our predictions of what it could be today, there's a good chance that both Onyx should technically go through to the next round, and they probably will get picked last.
Yeah, I think, again, based off the leaderboard, based off those decision makings, it's going to make for some teams that first round, and mind you, it's a single elimination, so that's going to make that entry into the playoffs already from day one exciting because of the fact that you only have that one life. Certain teams, like Team Liquid, are going to be obviously choosing very specifically who they want to go against.
Yeah, I also really like that all throughout group stages, especially starting around day 2, day 3, we started asking the teams via the reports brought to us by Eterna which teams that they're looking to avoid, looking to face, or select for the knockouts. A little bit more on that because we have to revisit now the power rankings, and this has shifted so much. The community has been vocal about how, wow, a lot of our power rankings were kind of wrong.
I'm so glad I didn't do a tier list.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't show the tier list. Because I think that unfortunately for SRGOG has been one of the biggest, as Malaysian of course, going to be one of the bigger SAG moments, especially if they get grouped here today. Homeboys, as expected, their groups are definitely hard. But then I don't think anybody was really expecting Onyx PH to drop down into the lower brackets, especially up against Aurora. And I think that definitely kind of shifted how the permutations, possible permutations of that group was going to look like. Because people like, Group B, it's very clear who's going to be on top, but now, not so much.
Yeah, we've set up a lot of the general overarching storylines, but we have to look now at a very specific story that began late last year at the M6 World Championship. Two teams met each other, and we thought the world would get shocked because we thought CFU might just eliminate Selangor Red Giants, but the man at the head of the pack, Innocent, with one spear of destruction from a Moskov, committing what Gideon says to be the greatest Moskov play of all time.
Obviously, the greatest plays of all time does come at a cost of an opponent having made a single mistake, right? That's how some of the greatest plays are made in the first place. Even so, I think that CFU are looking at that and they're like, man, we are not going to let this happen again, because they had SRG, at the time SRG, on the ropes, and that was supposed to be their moment to actually move on. And who knows, maybe it could have been CFU who got third place at the end.
I still specifically remember, because I was watching in the audience for that play, and I remember losing my mind seeing it live, and that was, I don't know if it'll be replicated here, because so far, if you think about all the Moscovs we've seen, they've been stealing objectives. So maybe this is going to be a contested hero pick.
Yeah, it happens a lot, and I think CFU are going to be looking specifically at which members of SRG to target, because when you talk about Selangor Red Giants, if you look at it at their best days, they're still one of the best teams in the world with how well that they could potentially play. Somewhat shaky here, but their members still incur a lot of respect and fear from their opponents, especially at the center of the map with Yumes, Stormy, and Zacchaeus.
Now, looking at the roster, right, based off of what we learned from last year, some of the greatest plays were made by both Zacchaeus and as well as Yumes, most notably the Cho play coming in from Yumes. However, throughout the regular season, we haven't really seen them kind of go back into that form because nobody could really challenge them, right? There was such a big level difference, a power gap, some may say. But now, coming to the internationals, it feels like they haven't found their identity within the meta. And worse yet, some of the more stable members are unfortunately starting to shake. I think Sakai's is okay, but their recent games against Virtus Pro, I mean, it's clear Stormy was kind of struggling. And for some reason, Cram, who was supposed to be a large pillar for this squad, also is starting to falter.
I think that's the case for multiple teams right now. It seems like these players that have, these certain expectations towards them, and this is all a reflection of the meta, right? Because even for these XP laners, they're so used to being a little more aggressive, but now I feel like they're more punishable if they overextend. We've seen, and we've talked about countless times where 10,000 gold leads are dissipated just off one play. And so now I feel like XP laners are in a position where it's, even for them, it's like, I can't completely throw myself into these fights like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that's Selangor Red Giants. Now, to talk about the other team, I know we've had a wild cards and we have a wild card champion, but I consider this team, I don't like using Dark Horse so much, so my wild card, because they've shown some really good MLBB and sometimes some questionable MLBB with how crazy they can get with their fighting. No hate though, it's just sometimes it's just like, what's going on?
It's so true, because again, I would say that this team, you don't really know where the glass ceiling is just yet, right? They haven't really plateaued, and I think the only thing that's kind of consistently making them stumble is when they kind of overheat during fights.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to like raw mechanics and execution, when they are hot, they are really, really good. It feels like there's no way out of it. But as soon as they miss that first execution, it feels like, wow, this team is, hitting the slumps really fast as well.
That's why I feel like for CFU Gaming, and this has been apparent from even previous iterations of them, and it's like they can start hot. They can start on a very snowbally centric position, but if they lose that or they go cold right off the bat, I feel like it takes them so long, and then you see them forcing themselves again and trying to turn things around, and it ends up punishing them. So I hope they've had enough time to go ahead and recalibrate some of the game plan here.
Yeah, I think historically as well, Cambodian teams just do a very good job of bringing out some of the worst quality of their opponents with how sometimes like they commit plays like, wait, they're actually committing that?
They're
and then you
doing that.
realize, wow, we lost that because they didn't expect it. And not a lot of people expected the result of these two teams at the M6 World Championship Swiss stages. When Boxy, the current roamer of CFU, who wasn't playing at that time, was asked about it, he did mention that maybe it was just a little bit of stroke of luck that Innocent was able to pull off that play, that CFU was not the team to move on forward. So that is the question hanging over these two teams' heads. Was it luck or was it actually fated? As somehow, some way, it happened. What a lot of us wish for, CFU meet SRG at an elimination match.
That's the crazy part, right? Because some of the best plays we've seen in the world always starts off with your opponents making a mistake, and then the monikers start to roll in. Hicomania didn't come out of nowhere. It started with an initial mistake from their opponents before he got Hicomania. Same goes for Innocent. He's been doing it all of the regular season of 2024 and 2025. Coming into this, I don't know whether he can reproduce it, especially when this game is going to be so dependent on the side lanes.
Gold lane is in a weird position, I feel like, right now. Like there's still these heroes that we're so used to seeing. There's been some variations of that too, and it's just in a position where it's like they have to be not as babysit, but eventually they can pop off later on. But the problem is a lot of the playmaking we're used to seeing from gold laners just hasn't happened in MSC 2025.
Yeah, because even more so now, it feels like, as you mentioned, it's so risky. Like, you can expect it to pop off, but then if you get that one death as a gold laner, it messes you up incredibly so, and your team as well. If you want to play like all-stars, similar to what SRG and CFU have, then hop on your game right now. Oh, Dino Planet is our All-Star 2025 event.
Wow.
All day,
Sorry,
baby.
I did not expect that. Do the activities. It's going all the way up until August 5th. Get the Popple and Koopa skin, get the pass, and you can get the Jawhead skin, and so many other goodies available for All-Star 2025 Dino Planet. And there are also a bunch of events as well in-game right now, coinciding with MSC. You can go ahead and check that out as well. We are just about to head into the draft. And I think there's going to be one hero that will be hanging over the heads of these two. Looking specifically at Yums and Boxy, the Cho. Because we know how these two teams really love river control.
Absolutely. I think, these pick-off style of compositions and more importantly, playmakers are going to be a very pivotal point, right? Let's expand on it a little bit more because not only the Cho, the Kalia has been a big question